Do know that at the very end, I will turn the recording off when we go into the in-depth Q&A or any questions that you ask that are lengthy and very personal, where you're sharing some personal information, because I do want to preserve your privacy. And also it's the benefit of people that stay here. Okay, they are the ones who get the lengthy Q&A. Okay, all right, everybody, let's go ahead. Yes, Geneva, you're very welcome. Thank you to our Google partners here. I will show them again so you know who to reach out to if you have any questions after today's event or today's session. This is who I am. Of course, I come to you with really, really strong entrepreneurial and small business background. I've been involved in small business for 20 plus years. I've been blessed by being able to work with so many small businesses from ideation to fruition, in fact, or even to transition. And what I love is I've had the great opportunity to do that with our small business, and my 3 adult sons actually run our small business, which I love. And I have a chance to work with inventors, which is really cool, since today we're talking about design thinking. Plus, on top of that, I've got 14 plus years in international e-commerce experience. So you're getting a bunch of experience here that's more than what you're getting in the slide deck. And I'm happy to share, because I am truly a fan of OPE, other people's experience. It is as valuable or even more valuable as other people's money, because time is such a very limited commodity. And now you can learn from this experience and springboard your own event, or your own, I should say, your own development, not event, but your own development and your own entrepreneurial idea. That's the E item I was looking for, your own entrepreneurial idea. So design thinking for entrepreneurs. If you're tweeting or posting, please use the hashtag Grow with Google. I love to show off to the Google team that this is exciting to you and that they need to create more like that. And of course, you can tag me right here on Twitter at Maria Duron, D-U-R-O-N. That's where you'll find me, or on Instagram, Maria Elena Duron, because that's really my whole first name. But you'll find me on either of those platforms. I'm pretty active there. Let's see, Donna, I see you here. Looking forward to it. I'm so glad you're looking forward to it too. So let us go. Today we'll be talking about what is design thinking. All right, what really is that? What are the phases that are involved? Because there are 5 phases that you need to be aware of that you cannot skip. And it's very important that it's done in that order, because I've seen people do it not in that order, or who actually discount some of those phases, and that's where they'll see their actual idea fail. Okay, so that is something for us to pay attention to as we launch today's session. Also, how to understand your audience. It really is important for us as people in our business, as our experts in our industry, to really understand who our best customers are. We need to be experts in our customer, and that's going to show whether or not you are an expert and whether or not your design is actually feasible, and therefore now it's actually profitable. Identifying, of course, anything that you need as far as the challenges and that you will run into as you connect with your customers in this design process, and then of course craft and test your solution. This is so critical. So I told you I work with a lot of inventors, and I was just talking to an inventor team about 2 hours ago, and they launched a product that they tested internally amongst their people. But the problem is none of them are their best customers. So when they went to the customers were like, yeah, that's nice, but we'll buy it for half the price, because we're not really interested in those features. All those other things, that's great fluff, but what we really want is this. So again, amongst themselves, it seemed like a fantastic idea. It was really innovative, but unfortunately, that doesn't mean anything to your customer if it doesn't help them in what they need. Okay, so let's talk about that. Remember, again, closed captions, look at down here at the very bottom. If you ever lose track of it, it's always there at the bottom, the URL that you need to go to be able to see those closed captions. Remember, it's a new window or a new tab. All right. Now, if you've not signed into your Google account, feel free to go ahead and do that, because you might want to take some digital notes. You might want to do it on actual paper. You'll see I'm very old school, very tactile. I do that, but I will show you if you've not done this recently, and you might want to keep a digital note of it, because you're going to cover a lot of ideas today that you don't want to lose track of. When you are in your Gmail account, your free personal Gmail account, you can go up here to the app icon that looks like a keypad, and you can go up here and go into Google Drive. You can also, just so you know, if you don't have a Gmail account, you can go into just your free Google account. I will make this bigger since I'm broadcasting, and you will see that same app icon right there, right? So you can go in there into your Drive, and when you're in your Drive, now you're going to click New. Oh, that's super tiny, isn't that? All right, you're going to click new. You're going to see the drop-down menu appear. Go to that right-hand arrow, and now you will go to a blank document for you to be able to take notes, okay? So it'll just bring that into your Google Drive. You'll know where to find it, and you're ready to take notes. That's if you want to take digital notes. You don't have to. You can just be like me, old school and tactile, because I like to be able to do little drawings and arrows as I move things around. That's just me. I like and enjoy that. That's why you take me to an office supply store, even though I know I can buy all of that in line, but I'm just like a kid at Disneyland because I love to be able to go through and pick up all these different little planning and pens and rule. I mean, it's just my thing. So anyway, when you're looking at Google Apps, this is just depicting what I did in case you're doing this afterwards, because we are going to go and put your actual ideas onto paper, putting a to-do list together, which is very important since you're going to apply what you've learned today and be able to move your business forward. So again, this is showing you everything that I just showed you. Let's really go into the meat of what we're talking about today, and that is, what is design thinking? All right, so we see here several things emphasized. It's a methodology that solves complex problems. That really is it. So what you're, for example, you're coming up with, either there could be societal issues, it could be something that you personally, that somebody in your target audience is experiencing. It could be also in helping develop a solution that is more economically friendly. So that's what design thinking is. It's looking at taking something and then making it better. You're giving more gravity to your ideas, okay? So as we look at design thinking, there is a 5-step process, and the first is to empathize. It really is to observe and understand. That is something that the design team that I was working with this morning missed, because they didn't observe. They thought in their mind what they thought the answer was, and then they didn't test. So when you're missing any of the 5 elements of the actual design process, you have a really bigger chance that you're going to fail, because it's not matching what customers need. It's not build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. That's not the truth. So it's not Field of Dreams. It is truly about you listening and understanding what your customer needs, or where you see some of the gaps are that they're running into. Then once we do that, it is really defining what those issues are, what are the challenges, and really from that kind of point of view of your customer, what are they running into and what is it they need? Then the third part of that step, that design process, is we can now ideate. So when the ideation process happens, is we're looking at what the problems are, and we're thinking about all the different kind of solutions that could come from us being able to help our customer or the potential customer. Now that's when we prototype that out. For some of you, you're not going to be able to do that, of course, today in our session, because you might actually need to get to a 3D printer, a CAD drawer, or maybe you need an artist or designer to do that, or maybe you're outlining a course, and so you need to now start structuring exactly what the components are of that. But at least you can get some of that down in paper or on your digital doc. And then, of course, we'll do test. We won't do that today, of course, but I'll take you through the process of what needs to happen, because I know if you're missing any portion of this, you're going to miss a big part of where you match with that customer, and that's so important. So if you think of innovation that's happened in our daily lives, think, for example, of on-demand TV, right? You see that in front of you, the first icon to the left. Well, I have been around long enough to remember when you had to tape with a videotape. And back then it was between Betamax and VHS, right? So, and you were making sure that you didn't step over and record over what somebody else recorded over. It wasn't just on-demand TV like it is now. If I missed Mork and Mindy at 7:30, I missed it. There were no reruns, nothing. I was miserable. And this was even before VHS and the beta tapes. So after that, then of course we had, you know, the DVR, we have TiVo, we have all of this where we can do a little bit more recording and set the recording. We just needed to make sure that we're not knocking out somebody's scheduled time because we put in our time, right? Well, now you can stream on demand. Look at that. I think it's amazing. I come from a time when I was a school-age kid where, you know, I'm in elementary school, and when I went to the movies, I didn't expect to see the movie on TV at all for a long time. The theater was it. That was all I could know. And yet now, my own kiddos, we'll know that, oh, well, it's releasing on the theater and here now because we can get it streaming. Or it's released in the theater only for a month and a half, but we'll have it by then. So it's really a fast turnaround, and you see that innovation happening. In fact, you even see that now as you look at the different the design companies. You see how Netflix behaved over the course of the whole pandemic as it started up, and then now how they're making some shifts and how they're even trying to get to know their customer better about, do we drop everything and go through binging, or do we do the weekly releases? Okay. Yep. Old school shout out. Exactly. That's exactly it. Oh, absolutely. Jonathan, welcome. Well, or Jonathan is who invited you. Charles, perfect. I'm so glad that Jonathan invited you. And then, of course, what about that foot activated cars? Think about that. We've had cars all the time for forever, it seems like, and we have the ability to automatically unlock and such. But now, when our hands are full, our arms are just carried to the, or filled to the brim, we can now move our foot and it can open something. It can open the trunk. We always have the appendages with us, so we could do that. And then think of ride and home sharing. I mean, come on, that's just happened within the last few years. And that's something new. I come from a time when I was told, do not get in a car with a stranger. Now I jump into a car with a stranger all the time. I usually call them and connect with them on my app, and then I jump in and they take me everywhere. In fact, I'm more likely to write with a stranger than anybody else. So it's really funny how things have shifted because people saw a need, and because they saw that need, they were able to fill it. So think about all the different design innovations you've had in your life. My parents are in their 80s, so I think it's amazing whenever I talk to them, and especially when I taught them how to use Google Meet and all these different tools, where they came from and what they're used to, and that even some of their friends in their 80s are just now understanding that email is a thing, right? So think about all those different innovations. When I look back into early days of the internet, when Facebook was just coming on and releasing their .edu, I mean, anybody remember Chat ICQ? And that's how we would connect with each other. It's really different how it changes now and how quickly we can connect with each other. So think about that. There are things in your life now that, given 5, 6, 7 years from now, so it doesn't even have to be that long, sometimes even 3 years from now, will be totally different to what you are actually experiencing and struggling right now, because somebody saw an opportunity to change things. For example, I was a big time eBayer before Amazon even hit. Amazon was just a used bookstore when it came out. And here comes Jeff Bezos with, he's a used bookstore, and he would collect things in his garage. And then all of a sudden now, how many of us look at Amazon and think, oh my gosh, yes, we expect things in 2 days. There are times when I can mail something from my house and my neighbor wouldn't send it to my neighbor, and my neighbor won't get it in 2 days. But we expect 2 days. In some markets, we expect within the next hour. That's how quickly innovation can happen, especially when somebody has a really rich and helpful idea that is truly what the market is looking for. So that's why it's important for us to empathize. So for example, let's say our goal is to really understand what our user's story is, what they need. It's to understand their path and their decision journey. What are they going to run into? What are their emotions that they're actually feeling as they're going through the process? If you think about that, when we used to buy, when I went to college, we bought at the college bookstore, what, 100, 200 books, $200 a book, and that's a used book. And you can now go to Amazon and find that quickly. You can now look at Cliff Notes online. You've been able to do that for a decade now, but there are so many things that you can do that you didn't have the ability to do back then. So if you think about it, what are some of the pain points, the friction that people felt? What were they searching for? And think about that, because people nowadays who have not seen your invention, your design, your solution, they're having those same questions, those same feelings. What is it for your particular customer? Who is that customer? You really have to know who they are. It does not mean that you cannot serve everybody, anybody, and somebody, but what you don't want to do is spend and try to develop something that pleases everybody, because you will fail. You will run out of cash flow before you ever see any income from that. It is important for you to know who is that best user, who needs what your solution is, who's experiencing the biggest pain. So for example, in understanding your users, we see here in this instance, they said women of color, right? Women of color. Well, women of color is a huge demographic. I'm a woman of color, but I'm not the same woman of color who's a woman of color who's, let's say, from Africa, who's a woman of color from Cambodia, who's a woman of color from Puerto Rico. We are totally different. And women of color looking for socially conscious brands gives a little bit more context into who this person is and how they make decisions and what matters to them. So think about that. This can be a way to start honing in on our customer, but truly understanding who they are is so key, because now our design can really focus on them and listen to their needs. When we make it so wide, such a wide net, we lose so much, and we do have to spend so much. So for example, parents, I'm a parent of 3 boys. But just to say parents, my need as a parent of 3 adult boys is much different than a parent who has a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old, okay? So if you think about that, parents is big, but he said young children not yet in school. So we bring that out and make it very specific. So do you understand that when I say get very, very specific in who your best user could potentially be of your design or solution? So parenting is such a big one. Really focus on that. Seniors over 70. Well, okay, seniors over 70, I mean, there's 70-year-old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old. A lot of that has to do a little bit differently with, mobility for them, exactly what they're focusing on too. There's a time when we're talking about 70 and 75 where they're doing a lot of traveling still compared to potentially 95 and 100 even. True. So when you look at this, think about that. But we're looking at seniors over 70 in single member homes. So they are more than likely by themselves and they don't have their family with them. So they're not living in an extended family home. And then college students, that's huge because college students are not just students between the ages of 18 and 21. It can go a little bit wider than that now. And as you think of that, in this instance, it's those seeking temporary housing. Does that make sense? All right, just make sure you've commented in the question box by now if you want a copy of today's slides, okay? Because anybody, if you've not commented or found that yet, find it now, because I do want to make sure that everybody's commented anytime gets a copy of the recording. But right now, if you'll give a shout out there and let me know if you know who your best customer is, I'd love to know. Let me know in the question box, because that is really hard work that you need to do. That's one of the biggest struggles that I see designers and entrepreneurs dealing with, is that they want to serve everybody. So let me know in the question box there, and you'll make sure to get a copy of today's slides. Okay, so find that question box, everybody. I know I see everybody trying to struggle to get that. So what happens as we empathize is we actually inspire new thinking by discovering what people actually need. As we select that audience, you'll see right here exactly what we're looking for. You can now use Google Docs to start being able to capture that, or the written format. Remember what I said about old school? Or you can let me know in the question box. So I want to give you a minute to think about that. Who is that best customer, right? Who are you best trying to serve with your idea or your solution? All right, I see some people here saying truck drivers. All right, truck drivers. So is it truck drivers like big rigs, 18, 18, or truck drivers like smaller, like moving trucks, U-Haul drivers? So people who are not normally used to truck driving, because they're 2 different kind of people there, right? I stayed defining my ideal. Oh, you started it. Awesome, awesome, Laura. Women between the ages of 18. Oh, I didn't get the last part, but women between the ages of 18, and now even refine that more because that's a big, big demographic. Absolutely, Donna, you will. Parents with fully disabled children. There we go. Now, are they fully disabled adult children or fully disabled young elementary or maybe middle school, high school, teenage level? I'd love to know more, Ashley. Semis. So absolutely. So semis. Are these semis more traveling within a state? So they're more interstate, or are they going across the nation? So they're doing much more long hauls. I'd love to know that a little bit more too, Ashley. For people seeking replacing their skincare with targeted chemical free. Okay, so when you think about that, Janifa, if somebody wants to be chemical free, what is it that they want to be chemical free? So what are they looking for? Are they looking for organic? Are they looking for plant-based? Are they doing business with Thrive Market, who's known for that? Or are they more of a Whole Foods market sort of person? Find out a little bit more. And that's for you. I mean, you may already know that, and you just shared with me a snippet of it, but really delve into understanding that customer and the walk that they take every day to live their daily lives. This is us walking in their shoes. okay? Because it's really important for us to really walk in their shoes and understand what they're dealing with. Fully disabled children in school, perfect, perfect. Across the nation, perfect. See how we're just getting even more specific about what we're doing? Ages elementary through high school. I love it. See, I love the specificity coming in. Chemical-free products made with natural ingredients. All right, so when you say natural ingredients, are you talking about organic, no herbicides or pesticides? Or are you talking about natural ingredients like it could be, you know, it's one thing, natural ingredients, not testing it on animals. Again, what do you mean by natural? Because that's a wide one too. You see a lot of people use that in their packaging, and natural has a whole gamut of things that it can mean. All right. I'm looking for small business owners of 2 to 3 years that are looking for time off from their business. Oh, there you go. So they've been in business for 2 or 3 years and they need time off. That's been a struggle. How do you get disconnected off of Slack, off of your text message? Wonderful. See how you put a little bit more strength and oomph when you really understand who that customer is. I prepare SOPs and handle bookkeeping. Wonderful, Laura. And that is for, oh, let me see, 2 to 3 years. Okay, looking for time off from their business. So you handle standard operating procedures. And do people that work with you have to already have a team, like a virtual assistance team, or do you provide that, or do you do that, or you do that with software, or you physically have to be there to see them? I'd love to know a little bit more. Not gone through animal testing or endangering our environment. Perfect, Janifa. See how perfect that becomes as you start talking and really putting more context in there of who that best customer is. Because while content may be king, context, a lot of people will say is queen, and I really think that's at the first when we talk about what we're doing and designing. I've spent so much time here talking about emphasizing, because empathizing is where people most of the time miss the boat. That's the #1 place in designing, okay? All right, so now that we actually have put some context or really spent some time empathizing and understanding who our customer is, we've been walking in their shoes. We need to truly understand that. What is so nice is when you can walk in their shoes, even if you can't physically walk in their shoes, by understanding where they spend time. You've heard me, if you've been in a webinar with me before, say, look at who are your potential competitors who might have a solution that is close to yours or where people are spending their money. Anyway, that you will take away some of that money when your invention or idea goes to market. And what you need to do is read their reviews and see what really matters to people in their own words. And then also where the gaps are, because those gaps could be opportunities for you. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So take a look at that, and that will help you now as you define who that market is. So as you're defining that problem, okay, we looked at emphasizing who the market is. Now we get to know that market and we walk in their shoes. What is the problem that they're actually coming up against that you can solve? So analyze this through observation and really understanding who they are, who the user is, and identifying what that problem is that you solve specifically for them. Understand that when we can do a better job articulating what somebody is going through, they see us as a solution provider, okay? They just know something's amiss, something's wrong, this isn't working, I don't know why. When you can identify that for them, they really do gravitate to you as a trusted advisor or a business that has a product, service, or solution that they can trust. Does that make sense? So we really need to know what's a problem statement. What is it that we solve, and get that crystal clear. So for example, in this instance, Sam is a busy manager, and see, all the Sams I know are actually gals. So the he doesn't work here, but I'm going to play that Sam. So Sam is a busy manager. You see the user, they gave him a name, so gave her a name or him a name, as the persona is a busy manager. So the characteristics, like you were talking about, people who have children school age, elementary, who have fully disabled. Okay, so you're very specific about that. Who need what? What is the need that they have? What is that pain point that you are solving? And then because, why? The insight of all of this, the insight is most important. What is the real issue? A lot of times when we talk to people, they'll give you the surface level answer. You need to go deeper to really understand this insight of who they are. Because if you just say, who needs a way to integrate healthy eating habits because she doesn't like, she doesn't like the size she is, or he doesn't like the size he is, or because he feels he needs to get healthy. All right, that's so general. But when you know Sam does not want to feel like he's on a diet, he doesn't want to worry about, oh, I've got to go to the app and do a carb count and look at this. He wants another solution. He's much different than the person who's like, no, I will go look and test, and test out the carb count and weigh out all of my portions. He's a lot different from that. Okay, so take a look at that for your business. What is your problem statement that you solve for people? What is it that they're experiencing? So let me see. I need to build a bigger network of virtual assistants. Oh, you're very welcome. So think about that. Yeah, because a lot of times when we can be there of support to them all the way through all the pitfalls, because if we help them with a service, Laura, and then all of a sudden we send them out there saying, good luck, go find you a VA, a virtual assistant, and now they're completely gone and they feel like that their help with us, the service and the help they provided or received from us, I should say, received that we provided, was not helpful because they missed this step. So you're helping them all the way get to the solution. What is that a solution? All right, this is where we go into the insights. What is it that they don't want, that it truly is the true pain point? And a lot of times when I'm talking to customers, I'll say, that's interesting, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. I will dig deeper because I know the surface level answer is like, I don't like feeling disorganized. Well, why is that? Well, it's just hard to find things. But why is that? And it takes a whole lot of time for me to do that. Okay, well, tell me more about that, a little bit deeper about, well, I don't like looking stupid, okay? Just because I'm trying to get all these. There you go. There is the true insight. It's not just about saving time, it's looking stupid, okay? So for you, your problem statement needs to really define your goal. You're going to look at this problem statement and make sure that it's very human-centered because all decisions are made by people. And then you're going to understand the user characteristic and who is the user who needs this. You're really going to hone into that in your problem statement. So remember what we said. Sam is a busy manager. We looked at Sam, the persona of Sam. We just thought of one person, and that's what I like to do. I like to think of one person that my customer, because I work with a lot of inventors, and I think about, okay, let's focus on this best customer, and we're going to give them a persona. We're going to say it's Sam or Samantha, is a busy manager who needs a way to integrate healthy eating habits. That's the need, because he doesn't want to feel like he's on a diet, doesn't want to do all those measuring, reading labels, carb counting, doesn't want any of that. All right, so now for you, it's important for you to put your actual statement together, okay? Again, if you want to take a screenshot of that, because in 24 hours, you'll get a copy of today's slides and the recording, but not for 24 hours from now. So if you want to take a quick screenshot of this so you can start working on that right away, then that might be what you apply right away, because I will ask you that at the end, what you're applying. Once we know what that need is, and what the insight is, now we can start ideating. So we go through the ideation stage of what is it that could solve this for them. And this is where it's brainstorming at its finest. You want to go through it unfiltered. You want to just go wild like this. Because if you think about it, back in the day, when we wanted to move faster and get around faster, we may not have thought of anything but horses to be on. That could have been just our only solution, because in our mind, that's the only way to get around faster, and would never have thought of the automobile. We think about that. I mean, even when I went to college, back in the day then, and that was at Texas Tech, across the street was this whole secretarial service thing, and it was wonderful because back then you typed something and you made a typo in it. Now you had to type from the very beginning or have really, really good correction fluid compared to somebody who had access to word processing. So yes, I was from back in the day before computers were ever even in college. Now I look as my kiddos went through and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much nicer just to run around with your laptop and be ready there. So what is it that you can solve to the actual obstacle, the insight that they just provided to you? So what we talk about doing and how you brainstorm is to use the crazy eights. What crazy eights are, it's a 2x4 table is what you're doing. So if you're in your Google Doc, all you have to do is choose that you want to have a column format to your actual Google Doc, and you're looking for the 2x4 design. So it'll come up with 8 sections. You can also do this on a piece of paper, like I said, just drawing those lines, or if you want to fold it in quarters, so fold it into 4 and open it up, then in each box, you're just going to put an idea there, and think big and think wild. Just think about that. I mean, before Jeff Bezos even came up with the whole delivery system and everything, how wild that was to even think about that. How wild it is to even think about that we're going to share a house with somebody, that we're going to switch. I'm going to go stay at your house for a vacation or visit this area. So think about some of the things that they come up with. I know one of the designs, or one of the ideas I looked at just really within the last 6 months, is when somebody's cooking dinner and you have an extra seat. So now they can take that extra seat for dinner. So, you know, now you have more than just going to the restaurant. So they're coming up with different creative ideas. Think big. So for example, in our example here of women of color, we could create a program that creates an item to everyone is there that they can purchase. So it's an item that they know is good and it's a socially conscious brand. Or, okay, so Geneva, or it could be an app that helps you find good produce, local produce, or socially conscious brands. Let's say, you know, I walk into a location, I got an app, and I walk into a location and instantly it tells me at that location where the products are that I don't have to, that are all natural, right? And that are good, socially conscious brands as well, okay? It could be if you're dealing with college students, then maybe it's the online roommate matching service. So something like that you actually come up with. But it also could be that you refurbish and furnish temporary rentals. So somebody doesn't have to worry about going to buy a couch or anything or raiding that from their parents' house. And then of course, the online learning programs, all right? So it's really important for us to take a look at this. And even taking one step backwards as we look at our target audience, college students are great to know that that's your target audience, but where's the money coming from? Okay, so take that step back of who's going to buy your product, service, or solution. Is it the college student or is it the parent? That's why a lot of times when people are in the hospitality industry or they're doing something that's entertainment based, I explain to them, don't just look at other restaurants, don't just look at other caterers that do that. Look past that. Where do people spend, I should say, their actual disposable income that you are competing for? Is it at the theater? Is it at ballet? Is it at going to concerts? Where is it? Okay, so take a good look at that. Now, once you have a good understanding of that, you can start looking towards solutions. So you can use your Google Doc to do this. So I'd love to hear some of your creative solutions, but I would push past to all 8. You know, it's funny, I was working with a banker friend of mine. He actually is the president of a bank that has 12 branches. And he said that, he goes, I ask everybody when they come to my office with their business plan, what are 7 other solutions to this that could be created or that they would create? And that's just, he's looking for wild brainstorm ideas. When they can't come up with that, then he says, that's not who we want to fund, because we want somebody who really is thinking about how can I solve their problems, not using the same box of toys and tools that I have available, okay? So you're really looking to get wildly, just crazy on what could come up, because you never know what something is that will actually be taken to market, okay? You're very welcome. I've been asking salons and barbershop, mom and pop shops to care. Oh, perfect. So think about that. What are some other ways people could, you know, you've got handmade soap. So what are some other things? What's their pain point? You know, is it because their hands are rough, or is it just because they're concerned about what their body's absorbing? Okay, which is the biggest pain point for them? Because if it's, oh, they're worried about what their body's absorbing, then there may be other tools that you can help them in being a healthier individual that's not exposing themselves in different ways. You know, don't hang around the microwave within this much time. Don't do that. You know, some of those things that again are aligning with who they are and their underlying purpose, okay, that insight that we've gathered. All right, so you can do this within your Google Doc, or you can do this on the actual page or piece of paper. And if you want to fold it up, some people are very tactile and they want to fold it up, you're welcome to do that too. You're very welcome. All right, so once we've gotten through this part, that we've gone through empathizing, defining, ideating. And remember, back at empathize, who's got the purse strings, who's making those decisions, the real decision maker. Now we go to prototype. Now, when we go to prototype, our actual goal here is to come up with different ideas. We're looking for MVPs, minimal viable product, minimal viable product. This is the product that could actually address their immediate insight, their immediate need, okay? Then we can start building on that. Now, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. I see people also within the design process try to just build onto one prototype. So here's the issues that you'll run into. If you see in front of you depicted graphically, it is not about this. It's not, okay, I need this, and now I'm going to put the 4 wheels, and this is my chassis now, and this is all the design elements I'm going to put here, and the actual metal. This is just building a prototype, so to speak, not an MVP. In the prototyping process, before you get to prototype, you do need to identify the minimum viable product. So in the instance of, let's say, I want to get from point A to point B, if that is the insight, I've got to figure out how to get over there fast. Then the minimal viable product could be, okay, you need a skateboard, right? You get over there to there fast. But if I could fall off my butt, then maybe I need a skateboard with some handles on that. And maybe I'll need a little bit more control. So what about a bicycle can get me there too as well? But in bicycle, then maybe even faster, I could go with a motorcycle. And then maybe I can look at this vehicle, or now a semi, or an airplane, or a helicopter. Okay. So again, that is what minimum viable product is. What's the minimal that your customer needs to get them to fulfill that need, or for you to be able to address their insights. Okay. Make sense to everybody? So once you have this in place, now you can start prototyping. So for yourself, think about that for a minute. What is it that you need? So pick one of your ideas that you made with the Crazy 8 table and flesh that out about what the minimum viable product is that you need to make that happen. And it could be that you need more technology as you start discerning which one is more viable. Maybe you need more time. Maybe you need more money. Maybe they haven't made the flying car yet like they promised to in Back to the Future, so you might need more resources available. Again, think of all the things that you may need, but don't do that in the ideate stage or the ideation stage. You're going to do that in the prototyping stage after you've come up with the minimal viable product. Make sense? Any questions before we go to the last step here of the design process? Okay, because I love seeing the design process and process. I've seen so many amazing things that are now used by the UFC, that are used by the NBA, and I saw those all in the ideation process. And it's funny because the ideation of what the actual going through the MVP, the minimal viable product, is nothing like what the end product is. But it's so neat to see that grow, and it's good to see when people and businesses actually empathize first. When they don't do this, oh, it's so painful to see because it's very costly. All right, so the next part and the last part is test. This is really important. How would you define MVP for services? Oh, good question. Oh, I love that you asked that question. So Laura, you do SOPs and a bookkeeping service. So what's the minimum viable product? The minimum viable product is that I can get a PDF with do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every month, or do 1 through 5 on the 15th of the month, and 10 through 15 on the 30th of the month. And then it's a software program, an easy, I just plug and play software program. Or maybe it's a program where I can just take a photo of my receipts, it puts everything in, and it's done. That could be the MVP. But now what do I want more? Look at the insights of your customer. What else do they need? Maybe I don't need to trust that I know how to categorize everything in here. Maybe I need to know somebody who actually has that kind of wisdom, and I need more than just somebody I can click at the corner of a screen and say, here, tell me about this specific area, because I don't even know the question to ask. So it could be that next ideation of your MVP is like, oh, how can I give them what the questions are that they need to ask? Because that could be the concern. I don't know enough to even ask the right questions, okay? So really think about, what is it that your customer is struggling with that you solve? So as we test, our goal really here is to look at that best solution and to refine that and alter that as we need that. So when we go through the iterative process, we truly are testing, and we need this in front of real customers. Again, I told you that design teams and entrepreneurs will fail in empathizing. They fail this part because they think they know, they think they're their best customer, and then the testing part, right? Because you need to test it with real customers. You know your stuff so well that you fill in the blanks where somebody might be just totally confused. What I love to do with the new people on the team is I have them run through everything new, because I want to see, where are the gaps? Because we have a tendency to fill in those gaps already. We know our product, service, or solution so well, we don't see that. In fact, even as you're doing website design, I explain to people that it's good to take new people through that. Take your grandparent through it, and it's interesting to see what the questions are. I know I was at a conference and somebody said that you should look at your website drunk, and I said, no, that's really in essence what you're doing when you put somebody new in your site. They don't now have the ability to see or to have the information that you have what are some of the pain points they run into. So the same thing with your idea. Let them play with it and see. You might think, oh man, that bowl, I mean, it's easy, it's plastic, so yeah, of course you can put it in the microwave, or of course you can put it in the dishwasher. All plastic bowls are dishwasher safe in your mind, but their experience could be that, hey, I put something in the dishwasher and it folded and just became this really horrible crumpled mess. So find out from them what their pain points are. For example, this lady, Juani in Las Vegas. So I like to spend a lot of time in Vegas because my family's out there, not just because I'm on the strip gambling. I actually don't even go to the strip when I'm there most of the time. But I do want to share Juani because she actually is a barista and she started her own cafe. Unfortunately, she started this right at the onset of the pandemic. So of course she had to shift now. So when she shifted, she took everything online and she started to do more online sales because she didn't have that in her plan. She truly just started 2 months before everything hit. And what she saw as a way to be able to get there and be supportive to her community and also be visible is start giving people the opportunity to donate coffee to first responders and healthcare workers. So she actually came up with an entire database. She did so much to really help build and grow her business. And now she's expanded into 5 different locations. So it's pretty exciting to see when somebody takes it and they see that opportunity. And when opportunity and preparedness meet, that is when you see beautiful gold happen here and wonderful ideas take shape. So let me see. Why I started my business is because they didn't know what documents. Yeah. So that's the biggest pain point, is the confusion. I don't know enough to even know enough. I don't even know enough to ask questions. So maybe part of that process, Laura, is that you tell them, here are the questions you need to be asking. These are the key questions. If you're asking these 4 things, where does this go? How does this make this? Do entertainment meals still count? Whatever they're asking, your actual core question is actually this. You want to know this, or you need to ask this, okay? Do all of that heavy work for them, because now they'll see you as somebody who's the solution provider. So we've gone through the entire process here. We empathize, we define, we ideate. So we come up with ideation, and then of course, and I love the ideation because I've seen it go wildly just different from whatever the MVP is. Now we start prototyping things out. So what you saw there was just building more on the actual viable idea, and we test and we test, and we need to be willing to go back if we test and we find out that's not what people want. We need to be willing to change. So I've worked with a lot of Kickstarters, and I will tell you, there was one group we were working with that, I mean, they had a really beautiful product. It was beautiful, old style, vintage wood, which is covered so that it wouldn't get wet. It was a non-spillable bowl for your dogs. It was just gorgeous. But the problem is that people didn't have trust in plastic bowls. They wanted metal bowls. Okay? And they did not know that, they didn't ask their customer that beforehand. And then the big thing is the customers think it was great that it's not spillable, but if you can't adjust the height, they didn't like it. So even though this product was beautiful and, really it could have been, excuse me, worth the $89, nobody was going to buy it more than $49. When they went out to their customer, well, actually they tried to launch it, it failed miserably. And so they went with a team that would test it for them. They used an actual testing team. And the testing team said, no, you have some big gaps here. Wrong market. It's not the US, it's the UK. It's not the right material, and it does not the right function. So they're not going to buy it. And even though your competitor runs at about the same price, the competitors are addressing the needs easily, even though it's not the most beautiful way, it's functional. And so that's why I tell you to really look at the MVP, because a lot of times we think, oh, we want to just put all these bells and whistles on, but that's not what they need. Okay, we're not our best customers, and it's our job to be experts in our customers. Okay. All right, we've covered a lot today. You've got a lot of homework to go do to actually apply what you've learned today. Now, the resources that you can use, always free. Everything that I talk about, you could go to our YouTube channel where there is a lot of different videos about design thinking and really putting together that statement, that actual statement of problem statement that your customer is dealing with, and how you can get closer to the insights. You might want to become even more professional at this and focus on this and really look at UX design or digital marketing or project management. Maybe that's what you need. If you're designing and developing something and you don't have project management, I've seen a lot of really good designs just go to the wayside because there's nobody there to manage the project and to move it along. All right, so you've got that. that could be an issue. But of course, your Google partners who invited you here, they are there for you. They know who your local resources are, who are more than happy to be there and to serve you. And they too have the team that can also help you with any questions you have about ideation, empathizing, really how you can test things out, how to prototype, all of that. They are there to support you. And they again are the Oklahoma SBDC. So you heard me give a shout out to Cindy. Please reach out to her. She'll let you know who on the team to work with, or reach out to the Oklahoma SBDC REI Women's Business Center, Marla. And then also Texas Tech Northwest Business Resource Center. Brandy, you are here. I forgot, I'm sorry I didn't put your name down there, but Brandy, reach out to her and she will let you know who on the team to connect with. But just reach out to these entities because they truly are wanting you to be successful, and they'd love to be able to share your story like I would. If you tag me on social, I would love to share your story and find out, man, look at what they developed and created. What a new way of thinking of that. Okay, so I love, and hopefully you're the next on-demand TV or the, the no hand opening. So just foot appendage release, or it could be ride share or the home share. You could be that next person. And I'd love to be able to say, I knew them when they were just trying to figure out their problem statement, right? All right, everybody, if you need me anymore, you can absolutely find me here. This is all the training I've got coming up that are free webinars, but of course, reach back to your Google partner because they truly are there for you. And you need that because while I can be here for you for the webinar, I'm terrible on email responses because I am in webinars. And because of that, I want to make sure that you have somebody right there who really can help you when you need the help. All right. So